Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare. Srimad Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Bhakti Founder Jaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Kantra Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Jai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, titled Narada's Instructions on Srimad Bhagvatam. Text 28. Itam sarat pravrikshikau ritu harer. Itam sarat pravrikshikau ritu harer. Visrinvato me anusavam yasomalam. Visrinvato me anusavam yasomalam. Sankirtyamanam munibir mahatmabir. Sankirtyamana munibir mahatmabir. Bhakti pravrittatma rajastamopaha. Bhakti pravrittatma rajastamopaha. Etam sharat pravrisikau ritu harer. Etam sharat pravrisikau ritu harer. Vishrinvato me anusavam yasomalam. Vishrinvato me anusavam yasomalam. Sanketyamanam munibir mahatmabir. Sanketyamanam munibir mahatmabir. Bhakti pavritatma rajastamopaha. Bhakti pravritatma rajastamopaha. Etam sharat pravrisikau ritu harer. Vishrinvato me anusavam yasomalam. Sanketyamanam munibir mahatmabir. Bhakti pravritatma rajastamopaha.
Vishrinvato me anushavam yashomalam. Sankirtyamanam munivir mahatmavir. Bhakti pravrittatma rajastamopaha. Bhakti pravrittatma rajastamopaha. Ittam sharat pravrishika vritu hare. Ittam sharat pravrishika vritu hare. Vishrinvato me anusavam yashomalam. Vishrinvato me anushavam yashomalam. Sankirtyamanam munivir mahatmavir. Sankirtyamanam munivir mahatmavir. Bhakti pravrittatma rajastamopaha. Bhakti pravrittatma rajastamopaha.
Word for word translation. Itam, thus, sarat, autumn, pavrikshiko, rainy season, ritu, 2 seasons, hare, of the Lord, vishrinvataha, continuously hearing, me, myself, anusavam, constantly, yasa amalam, unadulterated glories, sankityamanam, chanted by, munibi, the great sages, mahatmabhi, great souls, bhakti, devotional service, pravritta, began to flow, atma, living being, rajaha, mode of passion, tama, mode of ignorance, upaha, vanishing. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Thus, during 2 seasons, the rainy season and autumn, I had the opportunity to hear these great-souled sages constantly chant the unadulterated glories of Lord Hari. As the flow of my devotional service began, the coverings of the modes of passion and ignorance vanished. We just recite Mangalacharan first, and then we'll go through the purport. Om Jnanatimmirandasya Gyanam Jana Salakaya Chaksurum Nitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsta He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamani Hari Priya Mancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Hitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for coming to Srimad Bhagavatam class today. So, I'll just give a quick recap and then we'll discuss from today's purport. So, previous chapter, we are hearing how Srila Vyasadeva, in meditation, he could see the future into Kali Yuga, how degraded people will be, and feeling compassion for all the fallen conditioned souls in the coming age. Vyasadeva, he decides to write books for the deliverance. So first of all, we are hearing how he first broke the one Veda into four, so it could be more easily accessible. Then he writes different scriptures like Upanishads, Puranas, Itihasas like Ramayana, Mahabharata. But still he wasn't feeling satisfied at heart. So even after writing, hundreds and thousands of verses, he was still not happy. And he was contemplating, and he was being introspective and thinking, what have I done wrong in my devotional service? And then finally, by contemplation, he realizes, okay, maybe it's because I haven't directly glorified the Lord enough. So just at that moment, Narad Muni, he happens to arrive, guided by the Super Soul. Narad Muni, he arrives just at that exact moment. And then, even though Vyasadeva he himself has figured out the cause of his despondency, still he takes the humble position and he surrenders on to Narad Muni, his spiritual master, and he very humbly asks questions that, this is my situation, I'm feeling sad, I'm not feeling satisfied. Please tell me where have I gone wrong. So Prabhupada explains, how great personalities like Vyasadeva, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna, even though they're none other than the Supreme Personal Godhead or his incarnations, expansions, still they take the humble position of a disciple and accept a spiritual master just to show us, how for spiritual perfection we need to take shelter of a guru. So after putting forth this question to Narad Muni, he basically points out two faults in Vyasadeva, as Ghanshyam Prabhu was saying, that first one is that you haven't directly glorified the Lord enough. And the second thing he says is that you have overemphasized on dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, on material prosperity. And then Narad Muni, he then goes on to glorify, bhakti over dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Narad Muni is mentioning how that dharma, artha, kama, moksha, the result is just temporary. Whatever you gain in all four of these things, at the end of your life, you lose everything. But bhakti, it's permanent. It's a permanent asset. It always stays with you forever. So, like that, Narad Muni, he glorifies devotional service. And the famous verse, he also recites how if one is engaged in devotional service and surrenders fully to Krishna, gives up all of his mature duties, and then still, due to being immature, he falls down. Still, what is the loss? On the other hand, what does one gain if he perfectly does all of his mature duties? So in this way, Narad Muni, he gives a series of verses glorifying bhakti over material life, over dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. And now finally, in the couple of verses we've been reading recently, after describing the glories of bhakti, now Narad Muni is going to give his own example, his own previous life story, to highlight how powerful bhakti is and to glorify bhakti more. So that brings us to today's verse. So Narad Muni is explaining how in the previous millennium he was born as a son of a maidservant, and during the rainy season, as we're hearing today, these sages, some bhakti vedantas who are actually Vaishnavas, pure devotees of the Lord, they come and stay at his. They come and stay near his place, and then his mother and him, they get an opportunity to serve these Vaishnavas. So that's today's translation. Thus, during 2 seasons, the rainy season and autumn, I had the opportunity to hear these great soul sages constantly chant the unadulterated glories of Lord Hari. As the flow of my devotional service began, the coverings of the modes of passion and ignorance vanished. Okay, we'll read the purport. Transcendental loving service for the Supreme Lord is the natural inclination of every living being. The instinct is dormant in everyone, but due to the association of material nature, the modes of passion and ignorance cover this from time immemorial. If by the grace of the Lord and the great soul devotees of the Lord, a living being becomes fortunate enough to associate with the unadulterated devotees of the Lord and gets the chance to hear the unadulterated glories of the Lord, certainly the flow of devotional service takes place like the flow of a river. So Prabhupada is starting the purport by explaining how Krishna consciousness, this deep affection that the soul has for Krishna, the inclination to render service to Krishna, it's already there in the heart of all living beings. So this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nitya Siddha Krishna Premi, Sajya Kabanai Shravanadi Sudha Chitte Karayudai, that Krishna consciousness is eternally dormant inside every single jiva. And it is reawakened by Shravanadi Sudha Chitte. So by hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, this Krishna consciousness is reawakened. Now, when the soul, he comes into this material world, Prabhupada is explaining that this instinct, which is supposed to be like prominent, it becomes dormant. It goes to the back because the jiva, he associates with the modes of mature nature, specifically modes of passion and ignorance. And because of being covered by the modes, we can't see that Krishna consciousness, that bhakti in the soul anymore. So he has to be reawakened by hearing and chanting about the Lord. And the soul by itself, it can't just unentangle itself from mature nature. Prabhupada gives the example in Bhagavad Gita that in that verse, Devi hi esa gunamaya mama maya durachaya ma mevaya prapajante maya metam tarantite. So guna could refer to 2 things, Prabhupada says. One is that guna could refer to the modes of mature nature. Another translation is it refers to ropes. So these mature qualities, mature modes, they're like, Prabhupada says, they're like, chains. They're like ropes binding the soul in different knots. And the only way, so if one is bound up with so many chains, so many ropes, one can't unentangle himself by himself. He has to, someone from outside has to come and cut open those ropes and help him get free. So that someone from outside, that's referred to the Guru or Krishna. Only by the grace of Guru and by the grace of Krishna can the living entity reawaken his dormant Krishna consciousness. So that's why all disciples, they're eternally grateful to their Guru. His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, I was reading recently, he's saying in one lecture that simply if a disciple, if he simply just gets one instruction from his guru, if the disciple simply just gets one instruction, could just be one line, then the disciple is eternally grateful to the guru. Just one line if we get from our guru, then that eternally indebts us to the guru. Because simply by that one instruction, if we just follow that sincerely, we can go home back to Godhead. And Prabhupada, he also says in Chaitanya Charitamrita that the greatest gift the guru or the spiritual master can give to his disciple is devotional service. He is teaching him how to do devotional service. So many times we see the other way around, that when we get devotional service, we see as a burden, that, it's interfering with our plans. But Prabhupada says the opposite. Actually, the greatest gift the guru gives to us is devotional service. So whenever we get some devotional service from authorities, we should be, eternally grateful and happy for that. And then Prabhupada says, once Krishna consciousness is awakened, then the flow of devotional service takes place like the flow of a river. As the river flows on till she reaches the sea, similarly pure devotional service flows by the association of pure devotees, till it reaches the ultimate goal, namely transcendental love of God. I was just reading recently in Bhakti Chara Maharaj's book, Ocean of Mercy. One time in Prabhupada's final year, he was sitting with Prabhupada, and Bhakti Chara Maharaj has recently just taken sannyas. And Prabhupada is instructing him, the seriousness of the ashram and how powerful Maya is and how to be careful. And then in his instructions, Prabhupada mentions one thing that Bhakti Chara Maharaj, he says that this is the secret to devotional service, secret to being Krishna conscious. And this instruction that Prabhupada gives him is in regard to association of devotees. Prabhupada is saying that Prabhupada is just telling Bhakti Chara Maharaj that just stay in ISKCON, never leave the association of devotees. Prabhupada says outside of the association of devotees is the mature energy. And when we're in mature energy, we just flow towards Maya, flow towards hell. Whereas if we stay in the association of devotees, then we're under the internal potency of the Lord. And as long as we're in the association of devotees, Maya cannot touch us. We'll always be immune from Maya. So just like we hear from that verse, Devi yasa gunamai, mama maya durachaya, mama eva ya prapajante, maya metam tarantade, that this divine energy of mine is insurmountable, impossible to overcome. We can never overcome it on our own strength. But if one surrenders unto me, takes shelter of me, then one can immediately overcome it. So taking shelter of Krishna or surrendering unto Krishna means to surrender unto Krishna's devotees, surrender and take shelter of Krishna's devotees. So Prabhupada is mentioning as long as we stay in the association of devotees, take that shelter, then Maya can never touch us. And then Prabhupada is saying, just as a river, it flows to the ocean, in the same way, we'll continuously go on flowing towards Krishna. My Guru Maharaj, quotes this example often. He says that we actually, as jivas, we only have like two options. Either we choose Maya or we choose Krishna. If we choose Maya, then the flow of the mature energy will just glide us across. And if we choose Krishna, then the internal potency will take us. So that's the only choice the jiva has, whether to choose Maya or Krishna. Once we make that choice, then either the internal energy or the external energy will sweep us away, either to more into ignorance, passion, or more closer towards Krishna. But the beauty of Krishna consciousness, okay, I'll read the purport. Prabhupada is saying here, as the river flows on until she reaches the sea, similarly pure devotional service flows by the association of pure devotees, till it reaches the ultimate goal, namely transcendental love of God. Such a flow of devotional service cannot stop. On the contrary, it increases more and more without limitation. The flow of devotional service is so potent that any onlooker also becomes liberated by from the influence of modes of passion and ignorance. So Prabhupada is saying, the flow of devotional service, it cannot be stopped by anything. Rather, it increases more and more. So once one takes to bhakti, then that's it. Even if, as we're hearing previously from Narad Muni, even if one falls down or temporarily, goes away from Krishna consciousness, still there is no loss. In his next life, from wherever he left off, he continues. So there's no loss in this process. Rather, our advancement just increases more and more without limitation. And another amazing point Prabhupada says here is that the flow of devotional service is so potent that any onlooker also becomes liberated from the influence of the modes of passion and ignorance. So this is a quite amazing statement by Prabhupada. Previously we were hearing about one practicing bhakti. Okay? Initially one is not a devotee. Devotional is inside dormant, and then he gets the seed of devotional service from a guru, and then he starts practicing bhakti, and then he advances. But here Prabhupada is saying that one doesn't even have to practice. Prabhupada is saying the devotional service is so potent that any onlooker also becomes liberated from the influence of modes of passion and ignorance. So if someone else is observing someone else, another devotee, making advancement in bhakti, and if someone else simply appreciates the other devotee's service, then that appreciation itself advances one in bhakti. Same thing we hear in Sankirtan. Prabhupada mentions how if someone doesn't even take a book, if he simply just holds the book and just appreciates the book, that yes, this is a nice book, or simply appreciates the devotees, that these guys, they're good, these books that they're giving is nice, this song they're chanting Hare Krishna is nice. Simply that appreciation is enough to give them a human birth in the next life. So we see that same principle on that one doesn't even have to directly practice. If he simply appreciates another devotee doing devotional service, if he simply appreciates Krishna, then that devotional is so important that that appreciation itself is enough to advance one on bhakti. And in one lecture I also heard from Radhanath Maharaj. Radhanath Maharaj is saying that we can simply go back to home, back to Godhead, simply by appreciating other devotees' service. So that's again an amazing thing. That means we don't have to do anything. We can just sit down, just appreciate, this devotee is doing such nice service, this devotee is doing such nice service. If we simply appreciate all other devotees' service, Maharaj is saying we can simply go back home, back to Godhead, simply by that, just appreciating other devotees. And also, my Guru Maharaj, he says in his book, Bhakti Bhava, that the super soul in our hearts, in devotee's heart, he's very active. So for non-devotees, the super soul is, whatever, he will just give the results of the action. So for pious actions, he'll give pious results. For impious actions, he'll give impious results. And he will just sanction and witness. He will just stay aloof. He will just stand watching and just witness and sanction the desires of living entity. But in the hearts of devotees, the super soul is very active. He's not sleeping. He is always working and helping the devotee. And one way the super soul helps, my Guru Maharaj says, is that whenever we notice another devotee doing some nice service, and we, inside in our mind, we think, wow, this devotee is, cooking such nicely, or this devotee cleans so nicely, or this devotee is such a nice, good book distributor, is able to distribute so many books. Whenever we see another devotee doing service, and we appreciate that internally, then what the super soul in our heart does is that super soul in our heart will make changes in the heart to make us acquire the same qualities that we appreciate in another devotee. So if we're appreciating another devotee being very humble and sincere, then the super soul, seeing that, becomes so pleased with us being appreciative of another devotee that the super soul will do changes in the heart to help us also become humble and sincere. If we notice another devotee, working so hard from morning to evening, doing so many hard service, and we think, wow, this devotee is such a hard worker. Then the super soul in the heart, being pleased with our appreciation for another devotee, it will make changes in the heart to help us also acquire that devotee's qualities, to help us also develop the qualities of, hardworking, being sincere. So, like that, my Guru Maharaj is mentioning a similar point, Radhanath Maharaj, that all we have to do is simply appreciate other devotees' service. And simply just by that, we ourselves will also acquire other devotees' good qualities, and we ourselves will also advance in devotionalism. The other side of this is to be envious of another devotee. So Prabhupada, he says that envy is just an indirect appreciation of another devotee's service. So my Guru Maharaj says, then to overcome envy, all we have to do is, instead of indirectly appreciating, we just have to directly appreciate. And the end result is completely different. If we envy another person, then we just go backwards in our spiritual life. Spiritual growth is stunted. But if we just flip it around and just directly appreciate that, yes, this devotee is doing such nice service, then we go the other way. We advance in devotional service. The other extreme we see with Daksha Prajapati. Like I was reading in 4th canto how, Daksha and some other great Prajapatis like Vasishtha and I think Marichi, these personalities, they were doing a great sacrifice. And then in this great sacrifice, all different demigods, sages, kings, and saintly persons, demigods, they're all invited. And so Lord Shiva's there, Lord Brahma's there, and Daksha Prajapati, he walks in. And the luster from his body is so effulgent that it diminishes the luster of all other personalities in the assembly of the great sacrifice. And everyone stands up in respect for Daksha, except for Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, being the principal demigods, they didn't have to stand up because they're senior. But Daksha, seeing that Lord Shiva doesn't stand up, he gets angry because Lord Shiva is his son-in-law. Daksha's daughter, youngest daughter, Sati, is married to Lord Shiva. And then Daksha becomes very angry, and then he starts chastising and abusing Lord Shiva in front of everyone. And Prabhupada in his purport is explaining how Daksha was always envious of Lord Shiva. And he was always angry, and he had so much hatred for Lord Shiva. And Prabhupada says that because of his, and later on, in the course of chastising Lord Shiva, Daksha, he even chastises his own father, Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma is Daksha's father, he's so much greater than him. But in the course of his anger, Daksha, he even loses his common sense, and he even chastises Brahma by criticizing Brahma, that because of you only, I gave the hand of my daughter to Shiva. So Prabhupada, in his purport, is explaining how just see the nature of anger. When one gets overcome by anger or lust or greed, one completely loses all intelligence. So much so that one can do anything. And in this case, we're seeing Daksha, he loses all common sense. And in the course of chastising Lord Shiva, he even chastises his own father, Lord Brahma. And his purport, Prabhupada, he goes on, he expands, and he highlights how all this starts from Vaishnava Prad. So Prabhupada explains, just as Vaishnava Prad is compared to mad elephant. When a mad elephant comes barging in, the mad elephant can do anything. He can break this, break that, he can create complete chaos in the garden. So just as a mad elephant can do anything, similarly one who has committed Vaishnava Prad, he can do, because of that pride, he can stoop down to any extent. He can commit, so many different sin factories simply because of the Vaishnava Prad. So Prabhupada says, just like in Bhagavad Gita, it's mentioned the 3 gateways of hell. Prabhupada quotes that verse, that lust, anger, and greed. Prabhupada says, when one commits Vaishnava Prad, then one opens the door to these 3 enemies. So when one commits Vaishnava Prad, these 3 weeds will attack a devotee. Lust, greed, anger would automatically heal a devotee due to Vaishnava Prad. Just like mad elephant comes and he can create so much damage, similarly all these anathas will start coming and taking over a devotee when one commits offense. So that's what we see with Daksha. Because he committed that offense to Lord Shiva by criticizing him, his anger took him to such an extent that he was digging his own grave and he was going lower and lower. So like this we see the 2 extents of bhakti or association of devotees. On one hand, if we take advantage of the association of devotees properly, we appreciate every other devotee's service, we take guidance from other devotees, then we advance so swiftly and quickly back home, back to Godhead. On the other hand, if we disrespect devotees, make offenses, neglect them, become envious of other devotees' advancement, then it takes us backwards. Anathas will start coming in and we'll start going backwards in our Krishna consciousness. So we have to be very careful. Association of devotees is obviously the tool by which we go back to Godhead. That's the That's the only way we can go back to God, by the mercy of the devotees. But we have to be careful that we don't commit offenses, and we appreciate every single devotee. The other extreme, we see the story of Mrigari the hunter. He was, one day Narad Muni is just walking, flying past the jungle, and he sees so many half-killed animals just suffering in pain. And Narad Muni, he feels so sad, so bad for the animals. They're like half-killed, and they're just, shivering in pain. And then Narad Muni finds out that there's this hunter called Mrigari, and he's half-killing these animals. And Narad Muni asks him, why do you do this? And Mrigari says, oh, this is just what I've been taught since from childhood. My father taught me this, and I've always just been doing this. And this Mrigari the hunter used to enjoy seeing the animals suffer like this. So you can just imagine, how much in the mode of ignorance Mrigari the hunter was, to half-kill animals and watch them suffer and enjoy. But by the instructions of Narad Muni told him, that first Narad Muni instructs him that, instead of half-killing, just fully kill them. And then Mrigari asks, why fully kill them? What's the difference if I half-kill them or fully kill them? Then Narad Muni explains, if you half-kill them, then they suffer so much more, the animals. And because of that suffering, you have to take karma as well. And you also have to suffer like that. And when Narad Muni says that, then that's it. Prabhupada explains that instruction from Narad Muni that completely switched Mrigari the hunter's mind. And at that point, then he started thinking. And then he became inquisitive. And then he said, but then if I fully kill them, I also get karma? And then Narad Muni is like, yes. And then Mrigari the hunter, he starts thinking, oh man, I've killed so many animals like this. So, and he thinks, and then he tells Narad Muni, how can I overcome all these sinful reactions which I've accumulated? Then Narad Muni instructions that, okay, stop killing, give up your bow, arrow, go to your house and give away all your possessions, build a hut and simply chant Hare Krishna. And then Mrigari hunter, because he has faith in his guru and simply follows his instruction, he then develops Krishna prema. Later on, when Narad Muni comes with one of his friends, they see, and his friend, I forgot, Parvata Muni. So one of Narad Muni's friends, Parvata Muni, him and Narad Muni comes. Parvata Muni glorifies Narad Muni that, you're so amazing, you turn this, this such degraded soul into a pure devotee of Lord. How amazing, how potent are you? So in that we see the other extreme of association of devotees. If we rightly take the association of devotees, then we can advance so swiftly and so quickly. Okay, I'll finish the purport. The flow of devotional service is so potent that any onlooker also becomes liberated from the influence of the modes of passion and ignorance. These two qualities of nature are thus removed, and the living being is liberated, being situated in his original position. Yes, another one purport also I was reading recently. Prabhupada is explaining how about the greatest opportunity. The Prabhupada is first explaining about how the human form of life is a great opportunity to go home back to Godhead. And then Prabhupada writes that a devotee of the Lord, he is the best opportunist. So best opportunity means that he takes advantage of the best opportunity. And then Prabhupada defines what is the greatest opportunity for a soul. And Prabhupada says the greatest opportunity that anyone can be offered with is the association of devotees. That is the greatest opportunity. So if one takes advantage of this opportunity of association with devotees, then he is considered as the most intelligent. He is considered as the most smartest and the greatest opportunities. So Prabhupada is explaining this in that section of Mother Devahuti's lamentation. After Mother Devahuti, she enjoys with Kadamba Muni in the heavenly airship. And then Kadamba Muni, after that, he's just leaving his house. Then Devahuti is lamenting that I had the association of such a great soul like you, but instead of taking advantage of your association to advance spiritually, rather I was just simply engaged in mature enjoyment. How much of a fool am I? So in this purport, Prabhupada explains this, that the greatest opportunity that one can be given is the association of devotees. So by reading all this, we can develop more appreciation for the Sangha of other devotees, and we can, just like Prabhupada is saying to Bhakti Charmaj, always make a point to always stay in association of devotees and serve them and appreciate other devotees' service and take blessings from other devotees, and yeah, surely we'll go back home, back to Gauri. Thank you. Srimad Bhagvatam ki jai, Jai Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Gaur Pramanandi.